Good morning, friends. It's The Drive with Denise DiGrigoli, live Tuesdays here on HAN Network. The Drive, for those of you tuning in for the first time, or hopefully you're returning, is about people, places, and things that move us forward. So the goal of the show each and every week is not only to motivate you, maybe re-energize you and inspire you. If we leave this hour and you feel that you've become unstuck, you learned something new, you've revamped something in your life, changed a perspective, or willing to help others move forward, then we've done our job. So this morning we have two guests on. Normally we only have one at a time, so you'll have to bear with us because we'll be talking quite a bit. The topic today is about courage. It's about rebuilding your confidence. It's about the desire to be accepted. It's about survivorship, but more importantly, it's also about leadership. On the drive today, we have two young ladies that are college students, but more specifically, in their summer, they spend a good portion of their time as counselors at the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation Summer Camp. So I'd like to welcome, and I'm very honored to have you here. Thank you, ladies, Tamara Houghton and Kelsey Pandiani. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. So again, this is sort of an informal conversation. I know some of you have come. You've come from Syracuse, New York today.
Yeah.
And Saybrook, Connecticut, right? So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now in your life before we hear about your experiences at the Burn Camp.
Right now, I'm a full-time student at Lemoyne College studying psychology with hopefully a bio minor soon. And I hope to be a burn psychologist one day. So,
Burn psychologist.
Yep.
And where would I find a burn psychologist?
Well, I'm hoping to be in an on-call setting, like in a hospital. So whenever they feel that a child is in need of help, they would call to me and go down.
So specifically, you're interested in helping children?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And what about you, Kelsey?
Well, I'm a junior at High Point University in North Carolina. I'm studying English literature, and I'm not really sure what I want to do with it. Maybe teaching, maybe something else.
So you ladies come from two different parts of the region, but you have common experiences at the Burn Camp, which I believe is in Union, Connecticut, right?
Yes.
And if I did my research correct, there's 176 acres in the camp, and burn survivors spend a week there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so tell me about the camp, when you went, and tell me about your experience there.
So the camp is held usually in July, and we were campers there for several years. I was a camper there for 7 years, and I just returned this year as a counselor. And we do all this fun stuff. We do swimming, archery, a ropes course for all the kids, and it's just a really good time.
And what about you? Did you experience?
Oh, I think I went there the first time when I was 8, and then I spent the next 11 years going back as a camper, and then this past summer was my first year as a counselor at that camp. And yeah, we do all really normal kids stuff where we bring kids in and just make them feel like they're like every other kid in the world. They don't have anything that makes them weird or different.
Right, in the video that we're going to show after the break, that was something that kind of stood out to me, where they felt, the children that attended felt normal. And they felt like they were accepted and could make friends easily because they shared a common event in their lives. So, as a camper, tell me, like the start of a day to the end of the day, what goes on? What makes it normal, other than the activities you just said? I mean, there must be some camaraderie that goes a little bit deeper than just swimming.
Well, definitely all of the campers have like an understanding for what we all went through. A burn injury is definitely something hard to deal with. So it's really nice to realize that you're not alone in the struggle to overcome your injury. So we do all of those activities that make it a normal camp, but also, no one's asking us about our burns constantly, like, oh, how are you burned? We're just everyday kids living our lives to the fullest extent.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. That's what makes it normal, is that no one's staring at me, nobody's asking me questions, nobody's making me feel uncomfortable. And before I went there, that's what it was like every day.
Every day, constant questions.
Yes.
Yeah,
So that probably hinders the recovery process, I would imagine.
definitely. Yep.
So after an event like that, after having experienced an event such as being burned, tell me a little bit about the recovery, because before we came live, we started to talk about that behind the scenes. Tell me, or tell the viewers a little bit about the recovery process and what it takes.
Okay, so depending on the burn injury, first of all, the physical recovery process can be a very long and hard, strenuous process. So, for example, I was in the hospital for 3 months right after my burn injury, which is a very long time. And so,
That is a long time.
yeah,
Very long time.
So I had very extensive burns on 42% of my body at the time, which is now 35% because I've grown. But I still receive surgeries to this day, 12 years later, for my burn injuries.
Right. Scars don't grow with you, you grow. So you need surgery to catch you up,
Yeah.
pretty much.
So we still receive procedures even years later, but that's just the physical recovery. The emotional recovery can be sometimes even harder and longer to overcome. Luckily, like with support from the burn camp, support from like some of the best friends like I've ever made, I luckily was able to overcome my burn injury. So and turn such a negative, traumatic experience into something so positive.
So I can imagine at the burn camp, if that's just sort of an overview of what goes on, all the kids there probably feel this way, and so they probably feel very comfortable, perhaps not talking about it, but just, I guess, yeah, being able to live a very normal week. Now, is there, after you've left, do you keep in touch? Do you follow up? Do you have I know there's a gala coming up this weekend, and we'll talk about that more a little bit later, but that's primarily a fundraiser. How do you guys all stay connected? Because clearly you are.
Yeah.
Here you are from different ends of the region, continuing your friendship and coming in to tell us about it.
Well, Kelsey and I have been great friends for like over 10 years now. So honestly, I mean, when we were younger, it was a lot harder to keep that connection. But like now, I mean, texting and Facebook, everything, it's just like easier to keep in touch now.
So the Burn Foundation, guys, was started in 1978 by a Bridgeport surgeon and a firefighter. His name was Arthur Seeleft, which the foundation and the burn camp is named after.
Yep.
And so this weekend there will be an annual dinner held at the Bridgeport Holiday Inn to fundraise, because all of the kids go to camp for free.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Run completely by volunteers.
And it's a volunteer organization, and we know that takes special people. So tell me about some of the volunteers, because in the video I saw one of the firefighters who was just amazing, coming in from New York, literally giving up a week to come to the camp. Tell me about the people that are there. What do they do? Are they trained? Are they just good Samaritans?
I would say, well, I consider them like just a huge amount of parents. Like, I have 2 wonderful parents, don't get me wrong. But like when I go to camp, I have like 70 more parents, and they're all, what are they? Nurses, PAs, firefighters, therapists. They're involved in the burn community somehow, or survivors. That's a good one, yeah. So everyone there knows what's going on. They know how you feel. They know what you're going through. And it just is like a big blanket of like safety and support.
What's your greatest memory there out of all the years you went?
There's a lot.
All right, give me a couple.
You definitely make like some of the greatest friends like in the world. You definitely like learn a lot about people in general. Mm-hmm. I want to be who I am without my burns.
Mm-hmm.
So like definitely I would say the best memory is like meeting everyone. You create the best friendships in the world, like even with the counselors, like Kelsey said, they're all like a bunch of parents. We know they have our back even to this day.
So the conversation today is a little bit about leadership, and clearly you both have that. Now, how, I know that we mentioned there's a lot to get over, not only the physical aspects and the ongoing surgeries, but the emotional part of it. So how do you find yourselves coming back, and what do you bring forward to the other people that are there that maybe may not have the courage to do what you're doing, which is returning and being a volunteer? Tell me about what inspires your leadership, and where does that come from?
It comes from my own experience. I mean, I was going to tell you my best memory there is when I grew up and I saw kids that reminded me of myself.
Oh.
And when I was their age, I was all lost, all confused, and I could look up at all the older counselors and campers who are survivors and think, wow, they're in such a good place, they're in a place that I could be in. So I feel like when I saw that, it means how could I not go back and be this great example for the younger kids?
Mm.
I agree with Kelsey.
You agree. And do you think I'm sure the kids sense that when you're back and you're working with them? Well, is there anything else that maybe we want to talk about that goes on at the burn camp that people should know? I want to really let them see or get a sense, and we will show the video, but I want them to get a sense of where do we get the kids from? How would a parent that has a child that's been burnt know where to bring their child? Who provides information to the camp? How would I know about it? Because I wouldn't have known about it if I didn't know your dad.
Right. So often it's the burn center. That's how I heard about it. They said, wow, you're the right age for this. This is something you can do. And they just sent me there. And it was amazing. And I know we get the kids from Shriners in Boston. We get kids from the hospital in D.C. And often we get kids from all around the world who are coming to America for the best medical support they can get.
So you have really experienced children from all over the globe. Wow. And do they return too as counselors, or?
Sometimes.
It
Yep.
depends.
We have some friends from Boston, a couple counselors from Boston, and we have this really cool program where we now swap counselors. So we could both talk to you about that, because I went to Utah as a counselor, and tomorrow
I went to Colorado.
Yeah. So and we will take counselors from there too.
So your burn camp swaps with others. Now, do you see any geographical differences when obviously we know personality types are, what they are, but is there any differences between the burn camp here and there?
There are differences, but we're all going through the same thing. So even if your camp is set up differently and we're doing different activities, we're all getting the same thing out of it, which is this feeling of togetherness.
So it felt great to go there as well.
Oh yeah, sure. It was fantastic.
Now, will you try another camp? Will you keep swapping camps?
So
or are you always coming back to home base?
We always find our way back home, for sure.
Why not do both?
Yeah,
right, exactly. Why not do both if you can?
Yeah. So I think they're gonna try to send kids to different camps in different states each year. So Kelsey went to Utah last year, and I went to Colorado this year. So I think the goal is just to recruit people, bring back ideas, help get our camp known. So I think the main job of that exchange program is to send us to different states so we can see the differences in camps and bring back ideas. How can we improve our camp, make it better for all of the campers who come here?
What are your ideas so far to improve your camp? What would you do?
Personally, nothing.
It's perfect just the way it is.
It's perfect just the way it is.
Yeah.
What did you impart to other camps from your camp that they could use? Did you share any ideas on the other side of the pond?
Well, at our camp, we don't ask the campers about their burns.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, other camps do?
Yes, other camps do.
So the Colorado camp that I went to, they use it as kind of a therapeutic kind of setting to help the kids overcome their injury. Personally, I like it better not to ask, but to all the campers in the Colorado camp, that's
what
the norm.
they do.
Yeah, that's what they do.
And that works for them, and our camp works for us. We have more fun. The idea is go throw the kids into something exciting, let them have fun, let them feel normal, and that's therapy in itself.
Yes.
And it's great to watch that happen, and other camps do it different ways, but we all get to the same end goal.
Yeah.
And what about your camp? Did you share any ideas from our Connecticut camp over to the Utah camp?
Oh yeah, it was, that was the most overwhelming week ever, but it was great to try and figure it all out. And I think something that I helped them with a little bit was kind of this feeling of continuing the burn community, I guess you could call it, after camp is over. I know we have...
So they continually feel supported.
Right.
Right.
Because that's important, because, just because you turn 18 doesn't mean you don't need this kind of community anymore. It doesn't mean you just age out, all of a sudden you're 18 and all your problems are fixed.
Yeah.
So it's great to like have programs that continue that. And I think that's kind of what our counselor and training program is trying to do, is say, oh, just because you're 18 doesn't mean we're letting you go. You can still come stay with us.
So other than your immediate friendships from camp at your age, your old age.
Yes, so old.
What do you guys do for a sense of community over 18 now? Other than be camp counselors once a week, are there things that you do at college? Are there things you do online?
Related to the burn community?
Yeah.
Personally, no. Like just like returning to camp as a counselor really helps me stay involved with the burn community.
Except for we totally hang out all the time.
Yeah.
I don't count as being in our burn community.
Okay.
Whatever.
Well, whatever. I mean, there are definitely programs for adults. Like, for example, there's like the World Burn Congress. I really don't know much about it. I haven't had the opportunity to go yet. But there are programs for adults to remain in touch with the burn community.
And I'm just curious, and this could be a dumb question, even though there really are no dumb questions, but do they go through when you're at camp, any kind of additional burn prevention training, or where does that come out? Because in all the websites I looked at, there's always a link for that. But I would find it after the fact, I wouldn't want to hear it.
Right. We don't go over any additional burn training because
I would be like, no.
I think you probably learned your lesson by now, but I personally learned my lesson. But I know we see it in schools, and I mean, when I was in school, I got to be involved in their fire safety demonstrations.
So you could be an advocate.
Yeah.
Other ways,
you do things like that, and then of course we're surrounded by firefighters the whole time, so there's really no safety risks while we're at camp. It's probably one of the safest places I ever go.
Well, I find it incredible that you've come to talk to us. We're going to take a quick short break here, and we're going to come back with a video of the Burn Foundation. And I hope you'll stay with us and take a look at that. It's extremely moving and very important. Thanks. It's The Drive with Denise DiGrigoli, Tuesdays live on HAN Network. Woo!
Darien Sport Shop is a unique store because it's a family store. A busy mom can come in with kids in tow and find everything she needs for them, and even find a dress for herself for Saturday night. And if she's in a rush, she can simply go home and order it from us that night. We'll deliver it the next day. The Darien Sport Shop. We're pretty on the outside and amazing on the inside. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances. Where community comes first. A place where there's more than one kind of interest. Where automation will never replace consideration. Where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
Tired of all the bull? Relax and enjoy the experience of buying a car at Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram. No bull allowed.
Back to school means back to busy, and Stewart's Market can save you precious time by stocking all of your favorite essentials under one roof. For a healthy start to school, we have all the ingredients. Walter Stewart's, your family-owned fresh local market, 229 Elm Street and at stewartsmarket.com. Back to school.
Welcome back to The Drive, guys. It's Denise DiGrigoli. We're live on HAN Network every Tuesday, and you can follow us later on demand at HAN.network. Is that correct, Kate? All right, I got the thumbs up. You know, The Drive, again, is about all things that move us forward. People, places, things, ideas. And today we're talking to Kelsey and Tamara about the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation and the camp they've attended for over 7 years, now returning as counselors. The video I want to show you is just about 4.5 minutes long, and I hope that you'll stay with it and watch it from beginning to end. It's extremely important for a variety of reasons, but for me, it enlightened me to things I thought I knew about, but I really didn't know about. And today's show is about confidence and courage and leadership and the desire to be accepted and fit in. Now, we may feel that way in our lives every day without being a burn survivor. So look at this with a new perspective. And we're going to talk more with Kelsey and Tamara after the video so we can further enlighten ourselves how we can be good citizens when we encounter people that have had this traumatic event in their lives. So stay tuned. We'll be right back in 4.5 minutes. Thanks.
We're not damaged.
Bullseye! Don't move.
We're just a little bit different.
We're a burn camp family, and a lot of our children go through the camp, and now they come back as counselors in training, and they also come back as alumni.
I've been coming here for about 4 years. I would have came earlier, but I was really shy. I mean, before I came here, I would not talk to anyone. But since I've come here, I've come out of my shell a lot. And really helped me open up.
My father is a chief in the New York City Fire Department, and he was always helpful to the burn center in New York City. And when he passed on 9/11, my family just kind of picked up where he left off. So we had always fundraised for the camp, but I always just wanted to do something more.
I love coming here. It's like something I look forward to every time. Outside in like the real world, you can't make friends really easily, but here it's like we're all the same. So it's like we all kind of interact much better.
Right now we see confidence building, and they realize that they're not alone in what they're dealing with.
I get to make new friends, and I get to see how other people got burned and learn about it.
I've been coming here for 2 years, and I like it because where I live, there's not a lot of kids who have burns. I don't know anyone with burns, and when I come here, I have all these friends, and they like me, and I feel really good knowing I'm not the only one with a burn.
I've seen some unbelievable feats out here.
You got this.
There you go. There. There you go. Ring that bell. All right, Peter.
It was kind of scary. Like, I was at one part, like I couldn't move my hand because I was like pushing it too hard. But when I got to the top, I felt really good.
Every year, I learn from these children on what it's like to be tough, what it's like to be smart, and what it's like to overcome. It's about overcoming.
Is that a fish?
It's a fish.
Yeah. Wow, look at that one. Way to go, Mason. Nice job, buddy.
What is that? Another sunny?
That's another sunny.
It was a really heavy fish, and it was hard. He was just hard. It was hard to reel in.
Super great kid. And he's very self-sufficient. Am I right, Mason?
Mm-hmm. I had a great time, and hopefully I could come back next year. I love this camp because, well, I get to see people that had the same experience as me, and also that we're also having fun. Hi! Want to be friends?
Sometimes for me it's really hard to open up to people, and here I don't have to feel judgment or anyone thinking something about me whenever I'm doing anything.
It's a labor of love. I mean, camp is about the kids. It's about helping a young burn survivor who let's face it, has been through a tremendous trauma. We just judge them by who they are as just kids, and fill their heart with hope.
There you go. You got it. Oh, nice.
You drive home from a week being up here, and you take back home with you the rewards of seeing these kids just work so hard, and that's worth it all.
We're back. I don't know what you thought of that video, but I thought it was incredible. The courage to make the video, to participate, and you can clearly see that the children in that video were experiencing, we'll call, normal things. But while the video was playing, we were here laughing because our camp counselors were commenting on how challenging it is to be a counselor, and specifically for the middle schoolers. And I said, well, I have one of those. I understand. So tell us about the challenges of being a counselor, of being a normal counselor.
It's just so different going from being a camper to a counselor. Like, I believe the counselor and training program is definitely a must. It was so overwhelming at times.
She was with the middle schoolers. So
yeah.
That's what she's talking about.
I feel
the
it.
sass.
Yeah,
The
very
sass.
sassy.
The sass, wow.
But they're great. They're amazing girls. I stayed in the middle girls cabin area as well. And even though they were sassy at some times, they're great. They were just a great group of girls who loved to be around each other, who loved to be around me, and it was just a really enjoyable experience, regardless of the sass. But it's just so different going in from being a camper to a counselor.
Did you feel like you had truly graduated? Because just
yeah.
before
Yeah.
the break, we were talking about
Yeah.
the need to stay connected to the burn community. But so there's a definite delineation then when you go from being a camper to a counselor. What's the biggest thing you've learned from that jump?
I mean, there was
that
a
bridge?
huge line for me since I was with the babies. I was with I think they're 8 to 10-year-olds, and well, it's very clear. I felt like I was just like a mother all of a sudden to like 20 kids. It was, the effort to get them up in the morning, brush your teeth, tie your shoes, get dressed is like unreal. I can't even believe. But it's a huge line, hugely different, and your behavior really has to reflect that. You have to understand I'm not a camper anymore. I'm an adult in this
I'm a
situation.
role model.
Yeah, and I need to act the way that I want them to act. So it's definitely a big difference.
I agree with that. Even though my girls looked up to me, they looked at me as closer to a friend than a counselor. But like with the sass, sometimes I had to be like, oh, you need to dial it back a little. I see the mother perspective on that for sure.
Now, do you feel that because of their injury, you ever maybe go a little bit lighter on them?
No.
No. So everything at the camp is completely, we'll keep giving it in quotes, normal, right?
Yes.
You're still having consequences for your staff.
Yes.
I'm still going to treat you like any other 8-year-old little girl.
For sure,
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about when these kids, especially the younger ones, return to regular everyday society and the things they encounter. What if you want to share what you encountered, great. If not, what do they encounter?
Well, personally, with facial burns, it's definitely a struggle, with facial burns, going back into a normal society, per se. I struggled, a lot trying to, accept myself. A lot of people bullying. Bullying is so intense.
In school?
Yeah.
Or in the grocery
school,
store?
Every day,
in school,
adults,
yeah.
children.
Adults too?
Adults especially. I've had an adult pull their child away from me at 12 years old. I was only 12 when this happened, and I was like, that's just not necessary.
No, that is not necessary at all.
Not at all. No.
Okay, so adults, children. So, again, I want to leave our viewers with something they can take away, and I want them to understand when dealing not that we're here to teach manners, like I said behind the scenes, but maybe we need to. What can we do as good citizens when approaching someone we've never encountered before that has facial burns? What can we do to be the best citizen we can be?
Ask.
Want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would say just evaluate who you're talking to. If you're talking to a poor little 12-year-old Tamara, maybe you should just be nice and don't. The staring's not necessary, and maybe if they're really young, you probably shouldn't ask the question. But personally, for me right now, my friends, people I know, if I'm out one night and you're just talking to me, if you want to ask me that question, that's fine. I'm okay to answer you because I've had all this time and all this support, and I have like this answer that I can give you without being upset.
Right.
You know, but when you have young kids, you know, you're stared at in school, people make fun of you on the playground, and every time they bring this up, your mind goes back to this traumatic event that happened to you. Yeah, so, I mean, we spend years that I can give you this really quick, like, here's these 3 sentences about my life, shut down the conversation, I'm okay to do it. But is this 8-year-old okay? Is this 12-year-old okay? So if you come up to me on the street, I'd love to talk to you about it. But if you came up to me 10 years ago, maybe not so much.
Right.
I agree.
So what I'm hearing there is, again, just general manners. Don't stare and gawk, and be mindful of the words you speak.
Yeah, the staring definitely makes, I feel, it makes me so uncomfortable personally. Even to this day, sometimes I'm like, all you have to do is ask. Like, the age difference is obviously a huge thing, but the staring is just not necessary. We're just like everyone else.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly. So, one little pointer, what can we say? Don't ask questions, or ask, if you're going to ask questions, be mindful, because I think there's some people, like I said myself, I'm inquisitive, or there are a few good do-gooders that might want to say, how can I help? So they're not always the gawkers or the crazy mother that's pulling her kid away in the grocery store like a complete wacko. What can we say to the do-gooders that meant to do good, and then if they just made you feel like, you know what? Can we give them a little advice?
I think if you're talking to an adult and you mean to be nice and kind, and you're just genuinely curious, go ahead and ask, and you know, tell me a little bit about your experience, and like, how can I be there to like put you up instead of pulling you down.
Or you could use another catchphrase like, why would you ever ask me a question like that, and simply walk away.
Well, yeah, everyone you talk to is going to be different, so you might get that. You might get a
why
little
would
bit.
you be so insane to ask me?
Right. Curiosity is natural, though. So.
Curiosity is natural, and I think inquisitiveness is okay, right? Because that's what we tell children to do, ask questions. You know, we have use our imagination, and you know, but again, good filters as adults is always helpful. And thank goodness that you ladies are out there role modeling and having the opportunity to tell your story. So hopefully, if we just affect one person with a change, we've done our job today. Moving right along, tell me about the fundraiser this weekend. What is it? Tell me about it. I know it's some Havana party.
Well, that's the theme.
Sounded
this
pretty
year.
juicy to me, guys.
There are different themes every year, but this is pretty much just like a banquet, and you go and you get to do, I think there's like a silent auction, and you'll talk to a bunch of people who are involved in the camp, and you just get to know them better. And it's a great fundraiser and like a networking event, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna talk us into doing some speaking there too, so there's a little practice right now. And that's great, and it's one of the things we do every year. But we have other fundraisers on top of that as well, if you want me to go into it.
The Connecticut Burns Care Foundation is completely funded. I know it's a 501, it's a nonprofit, and so this particular fundraiser is your main gala for the year, is that correct?
You know, I couldn't actually put my finger on it because I'm not in charge of it, but it is like a big thing that I know a lot of people go to, and I've seen the guest list, and I'm really excited.
Yeah,
I heard you had quite a guest list.
Yeah.
So today, and we don't normally make a pitch for funding on the drive, it's not really what we do as we try to bring things to your life to enlighten you, but one of the board members anonymously has said that for any of you that are listening, would decide to make a donation to the Burns Care Foundation, and keep in mind this funds these guys to go to camp for free. These board members will match your donation up to $2,500. And ladies, what's the website?
BurnsCare.org, I think.
carefoundation.org, and we're going to put that up at the end of the show as well.
That's an important number too, because $2,500 is how much it costs to have one kid go to camp for a week.
Oh,
so so that's one kid matched is 2 kids, and we have normally around 70. So just for having the kid there.
Do the math, people. 70
so
times 2,500.
Yeah, so it's a big
wow, that's quite generous of the community to do that. So what else does the Burns Care Foundation do?
For fundraising events? I can talk to you a little bit about, I did a fundraiser this summer called the Kayakathon, which my uncle actually invented all on his own because he wanted to find his own way to help. And he decided, hey, I'm going to kayak a marathon across Cape Cod Bay, and I'm going to have people sponsor me. And I thought he was crazy, but he's been doing it, I think, for 3 or 4 years now, and I finally just did it with him. So I did my own fundraising and whatnot, and man, it was hard. And we got a little bit of wind in the end, so we ended up going over a little bit. I think we went 26.3 miles in the kayaks. Yeah, and we ended up, it was great. And our goal was to sponsor 2 kids, and we ended up coming more towards 3. So we got really excited.
Congratulations.
And we also do a golf tournament as well.
Okay, and you can find that all online, guys. And I'm getting the signal that I need to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to finish up with talking to Kelsey and Tamara about where they're going with this, where they're going with their education, their dreams, their goals, and what's next on their list of intentions. It's The Drive, Tuesdays live on HAN Network.
Here at the Darien Sports Shop, we are very excited about our newly redesigned men's department. Gentlemen, if you're shopping for work, weekend, or wedding, we've got the latest styles and trends inside our spacious department just for you. Johnny O, Duckhead, Barber, and so much more. And you can even walk out of the store in the new Wolverine 1,000-mile men's boot. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com.
Kycote Rockefeller Estate is Westchester County's top cultural attraction and is now open for the season. Don't miss out. Go online to hudsonvalley.org to plan your visit. Take a drive out to beautiful Sleepy Hollow, New York, and enjoy Kycote's stunning architecture, breathtaking gardens, expansive art galleries, and commanding Hudson River views. From world-class art by Picasso and Warhol to expertly tended gardens, there's something for everyone. Kycote Rockefeller Estate, a National Trust for Historic Preservation landmark.
The fall bite is heating up. Albies, bonita, blackfish, alligator blues, and stripers are following the large schools of bait in the Long Island Sound. This is the time to visit the New England coast, and the Dock Shop can get you outfitted with the latest fishing gear, jackets, hats, gloves, and fleece. Boater, beach bum, fishermen simply love the New England coast. This is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
We're back, friends. It's The Drive with Denise DiGrigoli. It's motivational talk, a little intelligent expert moxie, and a little bit of humor. I hope you're enjoying today's show about the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation and the summer camp. We've got 2 incredible ladies with us that have been talking about their journey through this traumatic event and what it means to be a survivor in today's society, now returning to the camp as counselors. So beyond just do-gooders, because you're way beyond that, you have a quest to make the world a better place for burn survivors, and we've talked a lot about that. And I think what we're learning is that your scars really don't define you, that there's a lot behind the experience, not only of the event but at camp, that you can share with others to maybe facilitate a path for healing. So you can each tell me, I know you're studying at the university level now. Where are you going? If we were throwing the magic ball out there, where are we going with this? And how are you going to continue? Because you're clearly courageous and clearly leaders. Where are you taking this down the road?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm hoping to be a burn psychologist, pediatric burn psychologist, because the children definitely struggle with overcoming their injury. There are so many different levels. I mean, kids just want to be a kid, and then it reaches like the tween age, and that becomes a whole different playing field. So that's definitely why I want to work with kids personally. But like I said earlier, I'm studying at Lemoyne College for psychology, and I'm hoping to achieve my goals to be a burn psychologist.
Wonderful. What about you, Kelsey?
Since my career field doesn't directly relate to it, I don't know. If I'm a teacher, I'm going to have the summers open, and there's not going to be one third week in July that I'm not at this camp. And I want to hopefully, I've only been a counselor 1 year, but I want to work my way up. I want to get into administration. I want to make big changes, help to get more people involved, help to get more survivors involved.
So how would you get more survivors or more people involved other than doing interviews and social media? What would you do? What would be one of your recommendations?
What's holding us back right now is that it's a whole week run by entire volunteers, completely funded by donations. So it's really hard to ask these same 70 people to say, hey, take off a week of work and come help us. So it's going to be a big step to move away from just 1 week of events. So I think I would be working on getting more funding and then making more programs, because the more programs we have, the more availability we have for survivors to come.
So more weeks of camp or different types of programs?
Anything and everything.
Anything helps.
So if for people that haven't experienced this kind of traumatic injury, but they're experiencing something else that is equally traumatic to them for whatever the reasons might be, can you tell us the vortex of where you made a change, a revelation, a crossover, if you will, into, I can do this, and I can do this and help others? Is there a pivotal point that happened? And if somebody's stuck listening right now, we know we have a lot of viewers today, how would you tell them with your success to be unstuck?
I think it's a slow process. I don't think there was a light that just turned on in my brain.
Okay.
There wasn't, but it was, years, months, who knows how long it took for me. I would have to ask my parents for them really saw something change in my life. And it's just persistence.
I agree. Yeah, there's no definite light switch. You're not terrible one day and then okay the next day. It's a very long and slow recovery process. And it just takes a lot. And I believe that the support we provide for our campers over the years definitely helps a lot. I know it helped me personally.
Support in the way of therapy, friendship?
Not even therapy, but friendship.
Camaraderie.
You see confidence building. It's definitely, it helps so much. And
even if you're not a burn survivor, I would say go out there and find people who are struggling with the same thing you're struggling with, and your burden will be that much lighter.
So share your burden in a community that shares the similar situation. Well, that is actually a great point almost to end the show on. So it's helping other people that might be affected in the same way you are, but maybe you've progressed. If anybody knows me, they know I'm the least patient person around. So the resounding theme for Denise this year has been patience. And patience really does lead to progress, doesn't it? And through the progress of not only recovery, but growing an organization and making people aware that this organization exists. Can you imagine how many children would be affected in huge ways without the help that the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation does allow? So just to kind of wrap it up, ladies, I'll leave the last few comments to you. You've got a good amount of listeners today. What do you want them to know about you and the camp you've attended?
I would just say that the camp definitely helps us so much. And when people first see us, they see our scars first if they don't really know us, but our scars do not define us in any way. I'm definitely a better person because of my burns, and I want to change anything. So.
Exactly. I was going to say I wouldn't change my life in a second, and just because of this camp that I'm going to, I feel like I have healed physically and emotionally, and I'm here to give back. And I understand that when it all comes down to it, because of my experience, I'm a better person, like you said. And I go out and I see people, and I'm not thinking about what they look like, because I've learned my whole life, gosh, I wish people wouldn't do that to me. So I see people and I see them in a completely different light, and I know that if I had not gone through this experience, I would not be the person I am today.
So friends, I leave you with that thought. Look beyond the actual physical appearance and find within, and that is clearly what the drive is about. Gratitude, motivation, leadership, and the availability to shift gears and help others move forward. Thank you, Kelsey and Tamara. It's been a pleasure and an honor. everyone here at HAN Network appreciates your time and your courageousness for coming on. Everybody, it's Connecticut CT burnsfoundation.org. If you'd go to the philanthropy page and make a donation, be great. And mention that you saw it here on HAN Network, The Drive with Denise, so the board members match your donation. We'll see you next Tuesday, 12:30 here in Shelton. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.